Hello everyone and welcome to another royal reading here at Mad World Tarot, and it is a mad world. It's been a mad Sunday in terms of royal news as covered by the Daily Mail, the Sunday, well the Mail on Sunday, whatever it's called. I have the Deviant Moon Tarot on the tarot table today. Moon covers things like home and childhood and amongst the many things it covers. And we've got some strange stories today in the press. And the first one is, on the surface, not such a strange story, but I have a suspicion about it that I'm going to read on. And the story is about William and Catherine wanting to move, considering moving. It was the top story in the Mail on Sunday today, and it was about them upsizing, considering moving out of Adelaide Cottage. They've been there a few years. It's on the Windsor estate, very small, very cozy, very humble home, and considering moving into Fort Belvedere, which is far grander. It was the residence of Edward VIII before Wallace came along. And he did a lot of work on it and turned it into something quite spectacular. And the story is, if they're considering it, there's nothing definite yet. And it puts as if it's because the kids are getting older and they need more space and all of that. But a little voice in my head said, remember that Neil Sean story a few days ago about Harry pestering Pa to be allowed to stay back at Frogmore Cottage on his trips back to the UK without notice, without any sort of formal arrangement, just hand me the keys basically. I'm paraphrasing, of course, because the cottage, I use that term loosely, is standing empty. And I thought, and I went and looked at a map of Windsor, the estate, great park, where everything is. And I know that Adelaide Cottage and Frogmore Cottage are literally a stone's throw from each other. So if Catherine were to go for a walk out of her front door of Adelaide Cottage and Meghan Markle were to be making jam in the kitchen at Frogmore Cottage, there would be possibly an awkward encounter that Catherine might not wish to have. Shall we just say, Fort Belvedere is miles away, miles and miles away. It would be much harder to stage that kind of awkward encounter. So that's my little suspicion. I'm going to read on this now. And we're going to see what's going on. First, we're going to look at the Parkles and Frogmore Cottage. What's going on is Harry really pestering Pa to be allowed back. And what's really the intention? Is this the thin end of the wedge that we're back? Give us access to Frogmore Cottage and we're back as half in, half out. And is the king going to relent and allow this? Maybe even grant them a new lease? Horrifying thought, especially if you are William and Catherine and you live just around the corner. And then we're going to look at William and Catherine in the next half of the reading, and we're going to ask what's going on there. Are they really thinking of moving? And is it anything to do with the proximity of Frogmore Cottage to Adelaide Cottage and the return, possibly of at least Harry and possibly even herself as well, seeing as she's got nowhere better to be or go, or nothing better to do. And then we're going to ask how Harry and Meghan feel about the possible new digs, Fort Belvedere, very grand establishment, so much grander than Mudslide Mansion, really so much grander. I was watching a thing about Santa Barbara and Montecito estate agents, as I call them, realtors, doing a little drive around, and I thought, it's all very nice, but Windsor Castle it ain't, Fort Belvedere it ain't. Anyway, that's just my opinion. And this is just tarot, and it's for fun and entertainment, and it is all just my opinion and all speculation. And of course, I just read energy, and disclaimer in the box below. Bit of a different reading today. Left-hand side, Harry and Meghan and Frogmore Cottage. Right-hand side, we're going to get to William and Catherine and Fort Belvedere and what's going on there. So, hi Priestess. We've got the old... I find this card very manipulative. It's this hypnotic I find it quite sinister, this energy in the High Priestess, when I'm doing these royal readings, because it comes through for me as Megan's energy and her machinations, her stirring the pot, shall we say, and hovering over it and chanting. That's the visual that I get. It's not a very nice visual. I'm not accusing anyone of doing anything dark, particularly, but it's secrets and it's conjuring. It's that kind of energy that's coming through for me. It's interesting. It's a chessboard, and I view this as a very strategic. What's going on? One moves, and then the other one is plotting 3 or 5 or 10 moves ahead, and that's what's going on. Strategic moves, basically, on this chessboard. I find that very, very apt. So, situation we're dealing with. What's going on? And we've got the 2 of Wands, and it's in reverse. It's the planning card, the preparation card. And it's usually with someone else, and it's very often about business, and it's also very often about things like global domination and stuff like that, plans and preparations. It's in reverse. Can mean that the planning is rather secret, and there is the card of secrets, the High Priestess, quite literally. Can also mean that plans are unraveling, and we know that Harry and Meghan's plans have really unraveled very publicly and very recently. So there is that, but I'm getting more the sense that everybody is getting ready to move on this chessboard and just waiting to see who moves first and where they move and what's going on. It's making me feel quite anxious, interestingly. So let's go over here, Harry and Meghan. Harry in particular, but I'm sure Meghan is deeply embedded in this story over here. So what's the story with Frogmore Cottage? Is he pestering Pa to hand back the keys so he can... Did I say Meghan was deeply embedded in the story? And we get the devil. Really? Why am I even surprised at this point? I shouldn't be surprised. But there it is, toxic energy, it's deceptive energy, it's a very materialistic energy as well. We want stuff. We want stuff, and we want lots of stuff with that card. We want what's ours. And so yeah, there is something very, very sinister going on here. And poor old Pa. Pa looks like he is being pestered by the devil. Here comes the devil again with more demands, more whispering in ear, more beseeching, more tantrums, more difficulty. Pa's chained to this devil. Pa cannot shake this devil off. I don't think Pa will ever shake this devil off. William might. We all hope William does. But there it is. Interesting. And so what is the motive really from, I'm going to say Harry and Meghan. Now, what are they really up to with this pestering Pa for the keys back? What's going on here? And we have, it is the 6 of Cups, and it's in reverse. And the 6 of Cups is reconciliation card and fond memories. It's your past. It's very much about the past. Happy days, good old days. It's strange that it's almost a return to the past. Even though the card is in the reverse, you can't return to the past. You can't recreate those happy memories. It's very much that they have burned their bridges with those people from the past. But there's a sense in that energy, because it is the 6 of Cups, that they might not quite realize it, and they might be quite intent on trying to go back to the past, physically go back to the past, back to the Frogmore Cottage, where allegedly Archie was not quite born. There was talk of home birth, but you know, that's where Archie was a newborn. That was where they started life out really, even though they were at Nottingham Cottage previously. But there's a sense of wanting to go back to that. And it's a sentimental energy. It's unrealistic energy because it's in reverse. They're not going to succeed. But I'm getting a strong sense that there is a tug towards the past, and particularly for Harry. I would say, if I hadn't got that devil card there, I would say that this isn't that sinister, but I've got the devil card sitting right above it. It is sinister. I think Harry is being manipulated, High Priestess, and told that, you know, they need to go back to the past, and Archie and Lily need to experience the same childhood you did in the same environment, playing at Windsor and all this stuff. But there's the devil. So is the king going to relent and allow them back in? Which just makes my blood run cold, even the thought of it. I've got the King of Pentacles. He may with that King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles is very solid, is very business minded, but very family minded as well. And the King of Pentacles is Harry, more than Charles. Charles is King of Cups, sometimes King of Swords. He doesn't really come through as King of Pentacles. I think Harry might win this. I just have a horrible feeling when I see that card that he might succeed. And getting some toehold back at Frogmore Cottage. And yeah, who would have thought? Maybe even 6 months ago, who would have thought? But all this reconciliation narrative, this very public meeting that the king allowed to happen, that was supposed to be so secret, with his communication secretary, all the rest of it. This is sinister, in my opinion. And I'm saying it again, sinister, because I have the devil and the High Priestess on this tarot table. I don't like what I'm seeing. Let's get to the Waleses. What's going on with them? Are they considering moving? Would be up in the world. Yeah, fresh start, they are. And I do think genuinely Adelaide Cottage was never their final destination. More likely Windsor Castle is their final destination, but they can't move into Windsor Castle because it's the king's residence. It would be highly inappropriate for them to be living there and the king not. Basically, as I understand protocol. So Fort Belvedere may be the next best thing. That's a positive card, as yes, we're ready for something new. And maybe Adelaide Cottage became their sanctuary, their hideaway, when Catherine was so ill and they just wanted to hunker down as a family. But sure, the kids are heading very quickly towards being teenagers. They need a bigger space. They might be handling more formal royal duties quite soon, when they need to host people, entertain people in a quite formal setting. Adelaide Cottage is not going to work for that. So yeah, it's positive. But it's very much, yes, we're ready for something new. Motivated by the proximity of the Parkles potentially to them, that they're feeling the need to flee. What about that? My suspicion. Yeah, I've got the Five of Swords, and it's in reverse. We don't want conflict. We want to avoid conflict, definitely. So I do think that they are aware of this maneuvering from Montecito, and this is preemptive. This is my personal opinion, but that Five of Swords is fighting, just being so sick of it. Don't want conflict. Don't want to have to think, I'm walking out the door in my dressing gown to water the pot plants, and there's Meghan Markle taking photos of me to give to People magazine. That's a very outlandish scenario, and I don't for one second imagine that Meghan would do such a thing, never ever, or for her Netflix documentary, apparently still negotiating about all of that. And so we'll see. But they're not happy about this. How do the Parkles feel about William and Catherine potentially getting the keys to Fort Belvedere while they have to slink back, possibly, to Frogmore Cottage? How does that rankle at all? Knight of Wands. It's going to motivate Harry to be buzzing around more and more in the UK. He's going to become more of a nuisance I'm getting nuisance energy with that Knight of Wands. We're in a dark tarot here, Deviant Moon Tarot. That's very Harry, that Knight of Wands. That's buzzing around, that's hot-headed. Might be another BBC interview, doing something rash, erratic, fueled by anger and resentment. Knight of Wands, the red-headed energy, the hot-headed energy, impetuous energy, but it's very much traveling. So if they do move, or even make more noise about moving, or someone makes more noise about this move, Harry is going to be there buzzing around. He's not going to take this quietly. I'm not getting anger and resentment, but I don't need anger and resentment. I've got anger in the Knight of Wands, always a bit of anger lurking there, even in the upright position. But I've got the devil on the table, as I keep saying. And so I think there are strategic maneuvers being gained, being thought through. And the what ifs, and then what if, and then what if, those kinds of questions. And I think it's quite sinister on this side. That's my personal opinion. And I do think that Pa might hand back the keys to Harry. And yeah, I could say a lot more, but I won't. It's long enough, this reading. So let's leave it there and let's watch and see what happens.